What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Engineers Without Filters podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Thompson, and tonight I'm drinking a good old... Oh, where is it? Where's the logo? Old style.
Dude, you really hit bottom of the barrel.
I didn't buy beer this week, so I had to borrow some of Joseph's beer.
Dude,
Joke's on you,
college,
it's my
right?
beer, not even Jacob's. I'm Joseph DeGranchamp, and
Are
tonight
you also
I'm
drinking old style?
No, I'm drinking Galactica by Clown Shoes Brewery.
You bought
Yeah,
it
you're-
just because of the brewery name, I know.
Yeah, you're a fucking clown, Joseph.
Hey, shut up, okay?
I'm Gabe, and I'm drinking the Grand Canyon Brewing Company's Sunset Amber Ale. This is my last beer, and I bought it when I was out west.
That's
Nice.
pretty fitting, Grand Canyon.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty decent.
And I am Dayton, and I'm drinking Dogs versus Shinobi. And it's a collaboration between Pipeworks Brewing over in Chicago and then Beard Brewing over here in Connecticut. And it's really fucking good. It's an IPA.
I see that logo.
Yeah, it's an IPA with guava puree added.
Huh.
So
I don't know if I would
You know,
like that.
when you said it was Versus, I knew it was going to be Pipeworks. Because they
yeah,
always
dude,
have...
Pipeworks always does that. They have like what is that?
Ninja
Unicorn
versus Unicorn.
Ninja. Yeah.
And
I've never
there's
had
another
one of their beers.
Yeah,
I
dude.
haven't
Dogs
had
versus Shinobi though.
It's interesting.
Fucking instant classic.
Welcome back to the podcast. This is episode 36. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at EWF Podcast. Thank you guys for voting on the poll we put up last week on
Dude, who
which was-
fucking won?
I'm so
I
disappointed.
did. That's all I'm saying.
We only had so we did the vote on which was a better name for the segment about Dayton's like weird thoughts. It was Apaxi for your thoughts versus Dayton's thoughts spelled THOT. And
Okay,
yeah,
all I'm
Dayton's
saying
thoughts won in a
is-
landslide.
I
How many
think
people
you
voted?
people
I
just
need to
voted
check.
against my opinion, if you ask me. I think that's what happened. I said, no, it's got to be this, and everyone's like, nah, fuck you. That's
I think
that's
people
my
just
theory.
like thoughts, you know.
Yeah,
There's-
yeah. I think that's
everyone's
the main
love-
draw.
No.
Well, I
Love
think
the
it
thoughts.
works better with thoughts. I don't know. Paxi for your thoughts, you're kind of pushing it a little, you know?
Yeah, but it's also an audio podcast, you know. They can't see the word thought.
Yeah, except
Right,
you
but
can
they can
say it.
think
Like
it.
if I'm saying thought versus thought, like come on, you
Yeah.
can hear that pretty damn clearly.
That's a good point.
It's like if I'm saying hose versus hose. Like
Yeah.
I don't know.
How many
That-
people
that
voted
one,
on
that
the
one's
poll?
a little bit. That one's a little bit different. Now that I'm thinking.
But how
about
often
it.
do you use the word hoe as in like the farming tool, like in day-to-day life?
More
do
than you
you know
think.
where Joseph and I grew up? We say it pretty damn often.
All right, well, today on the podcast we're going to be talking about a personality test. It's called the Enneagram Test, and I just heard about this on a podcast. I've heard about it before, I think, just kind of random stuff. I think Dayton, you might have said you heard about it too at some
Yep,
point.
yep, I've heard of it.
So we're just copying another podcast.
I mean, what else? What do you think this show is?
That's
Gabe?
all we do.
So I'm just going to read kind of a summary or a description of the test, just so you guys have a background on it. The Enneagram System. The Enneagram is a personality typing system that consists of 9 different types. Everyone is considered to be one single type, although one can have traits belonging to other ones. While it's uncertain whether this type is genetically determined, many believe it's already in place at birth. The 9 types are universally identified by the numbers 1 to 9. These numbers have a standard way of being placed around the Enneagram symbol. Enneagram authors have attached their own individual names to these numbers. On this site, the type names are by some random people. So, what's interesting about this image, and we'll have it on our Instagram if you want to look at it, but there's kind of like it's not like a star. We'll say it's a 9-pointed star.
It's like
Any
a
point is a-
Satan thing, except with 9 points instead of 5.
A pentagram?
What are those things called? Yeah, pentagram.
A
Except
Satan
Yeah, it's kind of like a
nonogram.
pentagram.
It's a nonogram.
And each of the 9 types is like, scattered around, but they're in order, so it's 1 through 9 clockwise. And the idea is that you may have like your type, whether for me it's like 6, and then I could be 6 wing 5 or 6 wing 7. So like they're kind of grouped together by things that might be close to one another. So, and then it says people of a particular type have several characteristics in common, but they can be quite different nevertheless. It depends, among other things, on their level of mental health. unhealthy or neurotic people from a particular type can look quite different from healthy ones. So this is interesting too. Like within a certain type, you may have like a positive or negative relationship with that type, and that'll change how it kind of appears. So.
That just feels like a clause to be like, yeah, this may or may not mean anything at all.
Oh
This just
yeah,
sounds
there's
like
a ton of like
horoscopes
double
to me,
negatives.
to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing with trying to put every single person into 9 different
9
boxes?
categories. Yeah, it's just not gonna work.
9
It's not
bins.
gonna-
They'd be they'd be like, what, 800 million people in each bin?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it just ain't gonna work. So, and like I said, I don't know how much we all believe in this test, like how accurate it is, but it's
100%.
interesting to see.
It's just for fun.
This is written in stone. This is like the word of God for us. Like we can't.
Yeah, like,
this is exactly.
We
who
all have
are.
to obey our type description, or
Listen,
else.
all I'm saying is
die.
I don't talk to any type 2ers, all right?
Filthy type 2ers.
They're not my type of people.
So
I
yeah,
have
we all
no
took
idea
the
what type
test,
2 is.
and we basically you get ranked of like how much of each type you are, and then theoretically the highest one is your main type, and then you're assigned like which wing do they think are you more leaning towards on either side of your number. So who wants to go first? Let me kick it to Joseph. I usually don't hit him with the first in a discussion
Well,
because he's usually not
I
ready.
hate to.
He always does. You can tell because he has that smile that's like, fuck.
That's just my smile.
It's like when you get picked on in class when you're not paying attention. Like, Joseph, what's the answer to this question?
Joseph would actually need to go to class for that to occur, though.
I feel like of the house, I skipped class the least.
Really?
Yeah.
I think I only skipped a couple times last semester. It's gonna change this semester.
I think
I skipped a good amount
hardly
last year.
skipped. I just didn't have classes I had to go to. Anyway.
All right, stop stalling,
All
Joseph.
right, so I hate to burst Gabe's bubble, but I'm a type 2.
Oh, I had no idea what type 2 was.
Get out of here.
So one of us has to leave, I guess.
Yeah, we get the podcast.
Type 2 is the helper. Oh, well, I guess I'll go into. So I'm a type 2 wing 3 or a type 3 wing 2. So, like, I got.
swing both ways.
Yeah, so I got. So basically, it's saying you're a 2 or 3, but, not really dominant either one. Either way. So the little description says people of this personality type essentially feel that they are worthy insofar as they are helpful to others. Love is their highest ideal, selflessness is their duty, which I don't know that I agree with.
I was about to make a joke, but I'm like, oh, I'll let him.
I don't know how seriously I took this. Giving to others.
I was gonna make a joke that he's a 2 out of 10 or something like that, or like the 9s are better than like the 2s.
Giving to others is their reason for being. Involved, socially aware, usually extroverted. 2s are the type of people who remember everyone's birthday and who go the extra mile to help out a coworker, spouse, or friend in need.
All right, Joseph, when's our birthday? Go.
my birthday, yeah.
Gabe's is November 18th. Dayton's is November 20-ish. I want to say the 23rd.
This is before mine.
Huh?
No, it's not.
No, it's
I got.
after.
I know it's after. And then Jacob's was senior walk 2 years ago.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that would have been mid-April.
Is
Late
yours
April?
December 12th? Is that when yours is?
No, mine's December 18th. Exactly a month
Fuck,
after
I was
yours.
close.
So
And mine's the 20th of April.
Oh, how did I not know that? You're exactly 1 month off. I feel like
yeah,
you should.
I'm exactly 11
shitty
months
friend,
old. Yeah,
that's
see,
why.
that's why you're not a 2, all right? See, I got most of them in the ballpark.
You didn't even get all of them right. You got mine right.
I got
That
them
was
in the
it.
ballpark, all right? Hey,
That would mean mine would count too.
what? I mean, yeah. What, Dayton, what is your birthday? How close was I?
I don't know.
I'll
always
open
the answer.
I
Facebook
doubt
while
he
you
has it
keep
on
reading.
He took
Joseph.
it off Facebook.
Oh, you piece of shit.
I know it's around Thanksgiving.
Hashtag anonymity.
So it's got to, yeah, it's around the 20th. It's
Facebook's the only reason, or the only reason I have it is for birthdays and events. We don't go to any events anymore because we're not in college, so birthdays is the only
Oh,
reason.
college parties are always.
I got a free
yeah.
desk
Yeah.
off Facebook Marketplace, so that
Yo, I just bought bar stools tonight off Facebook Marketplace.
It's a lot better than Craigslist because you can tell if
It is.
it's a real person or not. Like if their Facebook is like 2 months old, it's like fuck that. I'm not. I'm not buying this shit from them.
Not
I'm not meeting them in a
today.
dark alley.
Only if you think you can win.
Yeah.
All right, Joseph. What about number 3? Give us the read on that one.
Let's see.
Did you close it?
No,
Why
I
the
didn't
fuck did you close
close it. I just have to click to a different tab. Jesus Christ.
it?
All right.
Yeah.
He just needs all the
Type
time.
3 is the achiever. What's that laugh for? You bastard.
I'm not laughing.
Says through laughs. People of this personality type need to be validated in order to feel worthy.
So basically, the 2 being 3 is like, you help me help you. I'm gonna help you as long as you compliment
Yeah,
me.
basically.
Yeah.
They pursue success and want to be admired. They are frequently hardworking, competitive, and are highly focused in the pursuit of their goals. Whether their goal is to be the most successful salesman in the company or the sexiest woman in their social circle. That is my goal. I am
Ooh,
definitely
Joseph.
the sexiest woman on
Definitely
the
Joseph.
podcast. They are often self-made and usually find some area in which they can excel and thus find the external approbation. I don't know what that word is. Approbation, something like that, which they so desperately need. Yeah, and it just kind of goes on like.
So which of those 2 do you think you're more?
I can see why it chose the achiever for me, because I have a philosophy that 9 times out of 10, you really aren't anything more than what people think of you, because when it boils down, like actions speak louder than words. So what you do and how that's portrayed to other people is that's how people are going to see you. So that's more or less who you are. You know, if you put on this face of an asshole, but really you think you're a nice guy and you do some nice things every once in a while, people are still going to know you as an asshole. So you're probably an asshole, and like vice versa. So yeah, maybe I, donate and, help elderly across the street or whatever, but every once in a while I kick a cat. So, it balances. I'm probably a decent guy. And that's just kind of
It balances out.
My point being is,
I'm gonna send that bitch.
dude, PETA
It's gonna be
kills
put on a new
cats.
soundboard. Every now and then I kick a cat.
Hey, it's just one cat once a year.
So what? What's the big deal?
It doesn't even hurt it.
You guys don't have monthly cats that you kick.
Point being, I can see like how I answered questions, why that would be that way, because not that I'm looking for validation, but I definitely think that the way people see me is a better indication of who I am than how I see myself sometimes. So
That's fair.
That reminds me of the BoJack quote, because I
Yeah.
got to bring that shit up. I think it's in season 1, where like BoJack's like asking Diane like, "Hey, I'm a good person deep down, right? Like I'm trying to be good on the inside," and she's like, "I don't really believe in deep down. Like everyone else sees just your actions. Like it doesn't matter if you have good intentions. If you come off and you only do things that are being a dick, then people think you're a dick, and you kind of
Yeah.
are a dick."
So
Alright.
that's kind of my philosophy through that, and I can see why I got those 2. So, and I like to think I help people. so.
Interesting.
Is that when I was thinking about this relation to you, Joseph, I feel like with the helper, I feel like I see that in you in like relationships. Like I think of like you and
Mhm.
Calvin, right? Like your
I love
nephew, exactly. Or even in like your relationships, like with your girlfriends and stuff. But in the achiever, I can see more of that of you like at work. I
How
suppose.
often do you see me
Because
at work?
I think to me is, well, just how like you talk about it and like
When
But it's
Jacob
funny
brings
'cause,
you
like-
lunch every day.
Fuck, I
duh.
forgot about that. He drives me to work and makes my lunch, and He writes
Jeez,
me
I don't have
little
time for that
notes.
shit.
Slaps your ass on the way out the door.
Well, what's interesting to me is like highly focused in pursuit of their goals. But I feel like when we were at the end of school, like not to be honest, none of us gave a shit about
I
graduating.
knew it was gonna happen. So I
But-
didn't.
Dude, that's exactly where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
don't care.
But like, do you have like a goal right now in like life or
Make
work or anything like
money.
Get married and have as
No.
many kids as possible.
Right now, I want to make money so that later on I can do what I really want to do. I don't know, whatever I feel
Bitches.
like doing at that time.
Fuck
yeah,
bitches.
fuck bitches, get money, you know?
Hey,
It's a
Joseph,
recursive
when I
circle.
graduate, you want to go on a snowboard trip
Oh,
together?
yeah.
We should do that.
I'm actually thinking about
Sweet.
going to Utah at some point. This is totally off project.
Gabe, but he's a 2.
Huh?
Oh, fuck, you're a team. Never mind, can't talk to you.
Gabe doesn't need help, alright? He's all fine by himself.
I'm self-sufficient.
Alright, let's kick it over to Dayton for the next one.
Okay. So, I was a type 1 wing 2. So,
I'm just
You're
kidding.
just losing friends.
I am
like
not-
Flies, Gabe.
I am not like Joseph, and I'm not a full-fledged 2. Okay.
We're gonna split this podcast. It's gonna be the Jacob and Gabe podcast, and then there's gonna be the Dayton and Joseph
Versus the
podcast.
twos.
Okay, I think
Filthy
that
twos.
Joseph and I
Yeah,
can handle
honestly.
it.
I'm an achiever, so if I really want it, I can get it, right?
And he could help me if I needed
Exactly.
help.
He could help turn
Okay,
off the fridge when
Kiss
it's
my
making
ass,
background
Gabe.
Alright, anyway, so type 1. The description of it is, ones are conscientious. Fuck, I can't
How
talk.
drunk are you, dude?
I'm not drunk, except I literally need like my sister, who's a speech language pathologist, to like fucking help me, dude. I can't talk to save my fucking life. Ones are conscientious and ethical with a strong sense of right and wrong. They are teachers, crusaders, and advocates for change, always striving to improve things but afraid of making a mistake. Well organized, orderly, and fastidious, they try to maintain high standards but can slip into being critical and perfectionistic. They typically have problems with resentment and impatience. At their best, wise, discerning, realistic, and noble. Can be morally heroic.
I can see that.
Really tooting your own horn over there, aren't you?
He's got both hands on his cock right now, drinking himself out.
I can see that with you, Dayton.
Nah, that definitely sounds a lot.
It sounds like an
engineer.
engineer. At least part of it is like the wants to correct things, wants to improve things.
Yeah. Yeah. I
What
don't
did you
know.
think about it?
I mean, I think that I agree with it, except I feel like that's only like one facet of me. I don't know.
Yeah. Were you pretty close like on your rankings? I don't remember your between the types.
Let me pull it up real quick.
You didn't even have it up.
'Cause I remember it saying like for you it was like you're definitely type 1. There was no like other options, but
It
Yeah.
was pretty close. So I was the second closest one was like over 2 points away, which is like pretty high, and that was a
That's
type
pretty far,
7.
It's a pretty big difference.
So I was
Yeah.
like definitely type 1. Yeah. And then yeah,
Interesting.
like Joseph was saying, my wing is 2, which is the helper.
where do you see that like in your life?
I don't know, I like specifically helping people with things that I'm like knowledgeable in.
Yeah, I definitely
Like-
see that with you.
Biking
Yeah.
or like picking out like gear, like outdoor gear. I like doing that. Or just like things that I've struggled with in the past, so they don't have to struggle with it as much.
I feel like we talked. I don't know how that came up before, but I remember you talking about it earlier on the podcast. And I definitely agree. Like you've helped me a lot with. Well, you helped me pick out the bike and my bike that I have
Mhm.
now, and even like weightlifting and stuff. I'd still ask you a shit ton of
I was
questions.
gonna say when
Mhm.
our friend Emily went hiking on Isle Royal, I remember you saying that you kind of like looked at the trail they were taking and it was like, you're kind of backtracking a lot. Like try this route, you know, blah blah, and just give him advice.
I felt kind of like an asshole for like completely remaking their itinerary, but like I don't know. I think I improved it, but like
Well, see, that's the type 1 in you. You're like, I see that you can be better, so I'm going to fix it. Which is
Yeah.
also the
Make it
helper.
better.
It's like a
Yeah.
mix of the two things. That's
yeah.
interesting. But But yeah, I can see both those things in you for sure. Because yeah, like whenever anybody asks you for help, you're like, yeah, like you never really say no.
Mhm. Unless I'm like completely. If I'm knowledgeable in it, I'll give them the
Yeah.
answer. If I don't know the answer, I'm just gonna be like, yeah, I don't know. Like,
Google it.
yeah. Except Jacob, I remember you saying that you thought I was gonna be more of what is it, type 7? Is that what you thought?
The adventure one, I can't remember which one
The
it is.
enthusiast.
It might be 7, yeah.
That may or may not be my main type.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what I know
yeah.
it
That
is.
was the one I thought because like I also see. I mean, after you're reading the stuff about 1 and 2, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's definitely it. But I thought you'd have some type 7 in you too, which it was your next one. But since you like it going on adventures and camping and hiking and trying new things,
Fucking vegan.
stuff like that.
Trying new.
That was
He's trying
not,
being vegan.
was not
Yeah,
brought up at
trying
all.
new things like cooking without meat. He thinks he's cool.
He's going on a little adventure with his stomach.
First the tooting your own horn one, and then this
Yeah.
resentment, Joseph. What is this resentment coming from? I'm 50% you.
For the record, I was the one who said tooting your own horn, but
Oh, was it? Okay, it's never mind. Sorry, Joseph. I didn't mean to jump down your throat.
Maybe he just hates the half or the things about himself, you know, and he sees half of it in you.
Probably
so he
is.
just has to-
Help me, Joseph. Help me. Get
Help
rid
me,
of that
help
part
me,
of
help me, help me.
So my test was kind of weird because I had a lot of different options. Like I was pretty well like
You were
spaced out.
distributed.
Yeah, so like I'll just go down the list of like the ones up top because they're all pretty close. Like type 1 was 8.7, type 6 was 8, type 5 was 7.4, and then like there's like 4 more that are all around 7. And then again for my type it's like, okay, you're either 1 wing 9 or 1 wing 2 or 6 wing 5. And I'm like, great. So
Pick a number
After-
out of the hat.
yeah. So actually, after listening to Dayton talk about like 1 wing 2, I think it's definitely part of me, and 1 is my number 1 type. But I think I'm a 1 wing 2 in my like career, like school, work, stuff like that, and then I'm a 6 wing 5 like socially and with my friends. So I won't repeat what Dayton said about 1 wing 2, but yeah, I think like the engineer in me is like 1s are essentially looking to make things better, as they think nothing's ever quite good enough. This makes them perfectionists who want to reform and improve, who desire to make order out of the omnipresent chaos. Which is ironic for Dayton because Dayton's all about chaos.
Chaos.
But that's actually interesting to read because right now, like, my career path is I'm trying to help people with mental health issues, like fix or help themselves with diet. So I'm trying to like improve that system, and also like with that comes this whole system of like food in America, which is a whole thing I won't get into, but I'm seeing like a lot of things right now that could be improved. So I'm definitely seeing that side of me. And then like the 1 wing 2, the helper, I definitely always try to help my friends and people who ask for it. Kind of silver date where it's like if I know what I'm doing, you know, I'll help you out. Even if I don't, maybe make something up.
I
I
can
don't know.
spew bullshit. I'll say words.
I will say I'm definitely a lot better at giving advice than I am at taking it, at least my own advice. And then for the 6 wing 5, I definitely think this is me with my friends and just kind of socially. So 6 is called the loyalist. 6s essentially feel insecure, as though there's nothing quite steady enough to hold on to. At the core of type 6 personality is a kind of fear or anxiety. 6s don't trust easily. They are often ambivalent about others until the person has absolutely proven herself, at which point they're likely to respond with steadfast loyalty. So I would disagree that it's hard for me to trust people. I feel like I'm pretty trusting, but I also would say I'm pretty loyal to my friends, and I don't usually like fuck them over or anything like that, if I can help it. And I'm gonna read my part here. So, what all 6s have in common, however, is the fear rooted at the center of their personality, which manifests in worrying and restless imaginings of everything that might go wrong. This tendency makes 6s gifted at troubleshooting, but also robs the 6 of much needed peace of mind and tends to deprive the personality of spontaneity. The essential anxiety at the core of type 6 fixation tends to permeate the personality with a sort of defensive suspiciousness. So this is what's interesting. So I obviously have some anxiety, which I've talked about before on the podcast, but my anxiety doesn't manifest as like suspiciousness. It's more just like wariness about like trying new things usually, or just again, it's like this imagination that of all things that could possibly go wrong, um, which I do agree helps me like with the problem solving side of my brain, because I feel like I'm pretty good at problem solving. And then the wing 5 is called the investigator, thinkers who tend to withdraw and observe. People with this personality type essentially fear that they don't have enough inner strength to face life, so they tend to withdraw, to retreat into the safety and security of the mind where they can mentally prepare for their emergence into the world. 5s feel comfortable at home in the realm of thought. They're generally intelligent, well-read, and thoughtful, as they frequently become experts in the areas that capture their interest. While they are sometimes scientifically oriented, especially with the 6th wing, just as many 5s are drawn to humanities, and it's not at all uncommon for 5s to have artistic inclinations. So I'm definitely not artistically inclined, but with the
without any hesitation.
no, I mean, yeah, I'm like the least creative person I know, and but I do think like the scientific side is there, and I do like thinking about things a lot, and I do, in response to anxiety, I might tend to withdraw and just kind of like need some like, alone time. So it's interesting. I feel like I'm a lot of these different types, and it's evidenced by my results, where it's like, yeah, we don't know what the fuck you are, and I took a different test on a different site, and it was the same thing. So
yeah, I mean that goes back to like you can't fit any like all people, like even one person into like just one box. Like,
yeah, so Jacob, I think the obvious solution here is to slice your body up into 9 different sections and toss them into these bins.
Dayton, I've been missing the solution to life, and there you have it right there. That'll fix all my problems.
Bullshit, you were thinking about all possible solutions. You didn't think of that one.
Well, it's just weird because, like, maybe you guys remember, like, in high school or middle school, maybe you didn't deal with this, but I feel like a lot of people do, where they're one person at school with their friends and a different person at home with their family, right? Like, they kind of
I feel like that never really
I feel
goes
like that's
away, though.
because
Yeah.
at least
And I feel like...
mean, parents are generally less not accepting, but like
Accepting.
yeah.
Joseph's trying to dig himself out of this hole that he's gotten himself
Yeah,
into.
you're willing to be a different person around your friends. Not like, I don't know. I wouldn't have these sorts of conversations with my parents or even most of my family. Not because like I feel uncomfortable, but because it's just
It's just a different kind of relationship.
Yeah, it's funny because my dad listens to the podcast pretty regularly, and he hasn't really talked too much about like what he thought about it. But the few words he said is that it's interesting, in quotes, to hear what I had to think, because obviously I'm acting different around you guys than I am around him, and I'm speaking my, my opinion and whatnot more openly. I feel like. I think that's pretty normal, though, to act differently around this type of people.
Mm-hmm.
And like Dayton was saying, they're different
I
types
think
of
part of it, too, is you
relationships,
grow up thinking your parents are infallible. Like, you, up until what, middle school, maybe, your parents, your parents have always been adults. They know everything, whereas your friends, you've more or less grown up with them, depending on, what friends. Exactly, and so, like, you see more of the flaws in your friends than you see in your parents. And obviously that changes as you grow older, but and so
helps
you
you relate
you
to your
just
friends more,
there's a different level of comfort. I feel like where like
it goes back to like a long time ago when I was telling Dayton how like there are people who I don't like because they're too
I think you mean
happy all
one
the
person.
time. It's just like, show me weakness.
I'm pretty sure, Jacob, the exact quote that you said to me was, I want to see their darkness, or something, something along those lines.
I want to see their dark side or something.
And I'm pretty
I remember
sure,
you saying that.
And I'm pretty sure my exact response to that was, dude, like, why does it matter? Like, what if they're just happy? Like, why does...
Well, yeah, it's like what we were saying. Like, I feel like I can't relate to them, like, because I've never been.
You've
I
never
can't be
been
like that happy
all the time?
I can't be that happy all the time, 24/7.
That just sounds exhausting.
Yeah.
But that's my 2
Well,
cents.
yeah. Going back to like the typing, I think it's interesting because I feel like I'm different types, like in different situations, right? And it's funny because I haven't thought of myself as the whole different at school than at home in a while. Because at college, like you're mostly just with your friends, so you don't really have to change personalities or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I am realizing
great.
like I'm around you guys, I'm like the 6'5", but I feel like at work or if like maybe at school near the end, I was pretty lackadaisical. I didn't really give a shit too much, so I would say I probably was leaning more to the 6.5. But like, I would say when I'm at work or I'm at a job, I'm pretty try hard. Like I'm a 1-2-ish kind of person, and I try to do a good job, but I don't like.
Oh yeah, just low
slacking
key
off.
calling me a tryhard.
So that means Gabe can't
You
talk
know what I
to
mean?
any
Where it's
of
like
us.
I don't like in my internships, I don't like slacking off. Like I don't like wasting time. I just want to like I'm getting paid, so I should do a good job, and I should never like
Yeah.
I don't know, be lazy or whatever. So yeah,
Gabe,
Gabe's
you
not
really
shaking his head over
accidentally
there.
dug yourself into a pretty
So I feel like
deep hole
this-
by
You can do
saying
in
fuck
internships.
twos, because the three of us have some. That
Yeah. Some like random employer is gonna listen to this specific episode. Like, man, he said
He doesn't
fuck
like people
twos.
that help
He's never
people?
getting a job.
Yeah, yeah. Gabe, just know never to put me down as a reference. I have a lot of this audio saved.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on Gabe? Oh,
These
actually,
are words
I could
out
just
of
send you a whole
his
bunch
mouth.
Of clips. Yeah.
I
These
got
are
to do
his
36
words.
hours of him talking.
Just
Yeah.
like cut like individual words that you've said
Just
to make
splice it
sentences
together.
that you've never said before.
If you're willing to put that much effort into it, like I have it coming, you know.
maybe this winter when I'm like fucking bored out of my skull, I will. I'll
That'd
do
be
like
pretty
I'll do like
goddamn
a,
funny.
I'm excited
Like a-
to see it.
like a minute long. It'll take me so long to like go through each old
Just get
podcast. So.
words.
I
You're gonna
actually
lose
found
interest
ones
way
from
too
Joseph
fast.
though, like some hilarious one from Joseph.
Well, you don't even need to splice them together with Joseph.
Joseph just like puts his whiny voice on and is just like, "Oh yeah, that's gold."
Oh, I know exactly the voice you're talking about.
I feel
Story
like
of
Joseph's
my
getting
life.
roasted this episode.
Yeah, it kind of is.
Yeah, the point is that I'm different at depending situation.
Pull up to the
Okay.
scene, my ceiling missing.
I thought
I'm
you were just gonna end
different.
it with "I'm different."
I'm different.
That's a shitty song.
All right, Gabe, what do you got?
So I had like 3 big ones, but 2 that were like, I guess, closer together than the rest. So I guess I had 4. So I had type 7 at 9.4, type 6 at 9, and then type 3 at 8.4, and type 9 at 8.3. So because
Those are
I'm
pretty high.
lazy, yeah.
Like,
the
I
rest
was
of them-
focusing too much on the actual number ratings. What were the numbers?
So the top 4 were 7, 6, 3, and 9.
Okay.
So 6, well, the wings, I guess, are 6 wing 7
Yeah.
and 7 wing 6. So that doesn't really help me a whole lot. But so Jacob talked a little bit about 6 before, and I think for me the reason that 6 shows up so much is I do worry a lot about a lot of things. Like even, for example, when I was like driving back, I had all my stuff in my car, and I was like constantly worried for like leaving it alone, even for like seconds, because it's like my whole life in my car, and I didn't know the situation or like what the town was like or anything like that. That's just kind of how I was brought up, I guess, to like always be on your guard, which is dumb because I'm from like a small town and it's not like anything ever happens. But that's just kind of the way that I think about it, and I do think that it does help me with troubleshooting because I'm always thinking about different situations and different possibilities of things happening, and that translates really well to my job here up at school when I'm like fixing computers. I'm
Well, I do think
constantly-
you're more of a skeptical person too, just kind of in general.
Yeah, and that's also like that trust thing. Like I'm usually pretty
Yeah.
skeptical about people, and that's kind of like a cynical approach to things. Like I understand that, but that's just kind of how like I think about it. Like there's usually if something seems super good to me, there's like a reason. There's like some reason that it shouldn't be, or there's a reason.
There's always a
It's
catch.
still got to be true.
Right? Yeah, it's too good to be true. There's got to be something on it. Yeah, exactly. And I like to look out for the catches because I don't like getting surprised. I like
See,
to,
that's why you gotta watch out
Yeah.
for those type 2ers. They'll be
I
willing to
could
help you.
just be helping you
Yeah.
achieve greater heights. You never know. Can't trust me, eh?
Right. Yeah, I don't like asking for help either. I think it's invaluable, but I hate having to ask because it feel like I'm not good enough to do it myself, which is a terrible way to look at it. Don't look at it that way. I'm getting better at it as I go on. So that's kind of like the big thing for type 6. What were the negatives of type 6? I don't. There's a couple of the negatives that I didn't agree with, but some of them that I did.
I think it's mostly just like the whole
Like
worrying
they
and
mentioned
skipping
that
stuff.
type 6s can either like hide or become a daredevil, and I don't really think that's me. I don't think I've done either of those. I'm definitely like, I mean, I do some action sports, but I don't like turn my brain off and hit a tree
Okay,
and break my leg.
I wouldn't
or
say I
anything,
turned my
you know?
brain off.
Those fucking dumb type 2s.
Rip Joseph this episode.
No, it's funny because I can't even say anything either because I've smashed my face into the ground.
Yeah. Well, that's the crazy thing. I've seen both of your guys' accidents, but I haven't been in one yet. Somehow, some way, like fingers
Maybe it's
crossed.
because you're smarter
I
than
don't
us.
That's not it.
Hey, I gotta
Thanks, Joseph.
redeem myself a little bit, alright?
Yeah, give it back. You're more than welcome. So the second big type that I want to talk about is type 7, which is the enthusiast. And I don't think anyone else is this, so I'll read the first paragraph. It says, people of this personality type are essentially concerned that their lives be an exciting adventure. 7 are future-oriented, restless people who are generally convinced that something's better around the corner. They are quick thinkers and have a great deal of energy who make lots of plans. They tend to be extroverted, multi-talented, creative, and open-minded. They are enthusiasts who enjoy the pleasures of the senses and who don't believe in any form of self-denial. So
I definitely see parts of you in there for sure.
Yeah. So some of them I definitely think fit, but there's a lot that I don't think fit me.
Yeah.
The extroverted, I think I'm more of like an extroverted introvert, like a
No,
combination.
you're one or the other.
You're a
White
social
and black,
introvert.
alright?
Yeah.
Ones and zeros, that's what this world is.
Okay. Multi-talented. So we talked about this before, but like, I change hobbies like a motherfucker. Like, I switch all the time. Like, just last month I got a camera, and now I'm looking at guitars, just for some reference. Like, I'm constantly looking for something new to like experience or learn. But I don't know if I'm like a crazy planner by that means. I just like
Yeah.
I like the excitement of learning something new and having a general understanding of a lot of things.
The sense of what sticks out to me for you is 7s are future-oriented, restless people who are generally convinced that something better is just around the corner. That goes like right back to like last week when you're trying to figure out like where am I gonna live, and you're like don't want to like you want like the best possible thing, right? You don't
FOMO.
want
Yeah.
to like make the wrong decision.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, and they do mention some FOMO, and I think that I definitely have some of that. Like, even if I don't go out one night and you guys did, I'm like, wow, I should have gone out, or like,
Yeah, you fucking
You-
loser.
Because with us, it's always the same.
or even with you guys like being away and like actually making money, like makes me feel like I'm missing out on something. So I definitely have some of that. They do say, where's some of the problems? Their pursuit of pleasure can be compulsive and you can be addicted to things. I don't think I'm at that point yet. Hopefully that never happens.
We'll keep an eye on you.
Where's the other ones? Blah, blah, blah. 7s usually have a high opinion of themselves. That's just not true.
Keep telling yourself that.
Okay.
Ouch. I do have like, I mean, we talked about it multiple times on the podcast that I have like self-confidence issues, but they definitely have
That's more
gotten a
of
lot
the-
better.
That's more of the 6, I feel like, than the 7.
Yeah, and I've definitely gotten a lot better from that. But self-centered, yeah, I can be. Like, if I'm being completely honest,
Yeah.
I can be a pretty selfish person. There's a lot of questions about like, helping others, and that's where like Joseph got his giving one. And I don't really give a whole lot, but I was never really like taught that that's a thing you should do from my parents, I guess. Both my parents are on the selfish side, where they like hold on to their things and keep to their things to themselves, and you got this, you got here because you did it, so it's your accomplishments, and use those accomplishments for your own needs and wants. It's just kind of like how their lives are brought up. So but they also both came from families where like they were the first ones out of college and had some like form of stable income. So I guess I kind of understand where that's coming from, but it definitely carried over into me, and it's something that I hope that I can get better at and not be as selfish. But.
Well, stuff like that is where it's like, at the very beginning, it's like, many believe this is determined at birth. I'm like, bullshit. Like, your upbringing and every experience you have, like, defines your personality. I just don't think that these things are already decided.
No, that definitely is something that was brought onto me from my family, or like from my parents and surrounding environment. Because I mean, I can't really even think of a time where like a, I don't know, like some memory that stands out of like you help people and do this. You just like leave people do their own thing and you do your own thing and just kind of mind your own business. That's just kind of how the way I was brought up. So I guess I can also kind of circle back to the self-centered stuff. I do have some moments of that for sure, but
yeah, I think you're a pretty good split between 6 and 7.
Yeah, definitely are a mix between the two, even the bad stuff too. So, oh well.
So I want to ask. Oh, go ahead.
I just misread something. Oh, it says 7s can be domineering, and I'm usually, I don't really think
like in the bedroom or.
I think it meant more of like if you're like an alpha or something. But that's.
Oh. Okay.
I'm very much like, if someone's gonna do something and put the effort into doing it, and it sounds, or like planning it, and it sounds fun, like I'll tag along. But I'm not like, we need to do this right now. At least I don't think so. I'm usually pretty go with the flow for those.
Well,
Joseph's nodding his head like. I definitely have moments. It's for sure, but I don't know. But
so I want to ask, do you guys do you have any like types on here you think like you're surprised that like weren't up there for you?
I didn't read all the types.
Yeah.
Well, like for me, like, go ahead, dude.
What I can say is that I was looking more into like the type 1, and it shows you like an arrow that says like growth and then stress, like which ones will like make you grow and then which ones will make you like stressed. I guess I think I'm interpreting it right. I don't really quite know, but my growth one is 7, which is like the enthusiast one, and that's definitely like all of my hobbies. Like all of my hobbies are like pretty, like they fall under like that personality, I would say. But 4, I don't know what 4 even is.
Did any of us? 4 is the individualist. None of us had it, but I can read it quick. 4s build their identities around their perception of themselves as being somehow different or unique. They are thus self-consciously individualistic. They tend to see their difference from others as being both a gift and a curse. A gift because it sets them apart from those they perceive as being somehow common, and a curse as it so often seems to separate them from the simpler forms of happiness that others so readily seem to enjoy.
That just seems kind of narcissistic. I can see where that would probably stress me out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm kind of surprised that wasn't more of a type 9.
Looking at my results,
I have a
my
lot of
third
9
top
in
was
me,
9.
Apparently.
So I hate conflict.
Oh, those are the questions about confrontation. That definitely.
So
that's
on
why
my
I scored so
score,
high in it.
so I had
What did
type
you do?
2 at 8.7, type 3 at 8.4, and then type 9 at 8. And those were my top 3. So they were, type 9 was not too far from 2 and 3 for me. 2, which is the peacemaker.
Yeah, so 9 is the peacemaker. 9s essentially feel a need for peace and harmony. They tend to avoid conflict at all costs, whether it be internal or interpersonal. As the potential for conflict in life is virtually ubiquitous, the 9's desire to avoid it generally results in some degree of withdrawal from life, and many 9's are in fact introverted. Other 9's lead more active social lives but nevertheless remain to some degree checked out or not fully involved, as if to insulate themselves from threats to their peace of mind.
See, there's a little bit after where Jacob.
See, I'm reading the 9 right now, and
most
so I got an
are fairly
8.3.
easygoing. They adopt a strategy of go with the flow, and I think that is very much me. We're like, yeah, if this is what we're doing.
Yeah, I was
sure.
gonna, like you seem very 9 to me, Joseph.
I can find whatever and whatever. So
Hey Joseph, you going to the bar tonight?
Yeah.
No. Hey Joseph, you going to the bar
Dude,
tonight? I guess.
You just gotta ask twice, baby.
Dude, that reminds me of career fair too. You did the same shit with me with like some employers, and you're like, "Come with me." It's just a bunch of employers, and I'm like, "No thanks."
And did it go
And
poorly?
I fucking went anyways. But
Exactly.
no, we got free drinks, so can't complain. I do find it funny. It says nines tend to adopt an optimistic approach to life, and I have an 8.3 on that. And I don't really think that I'm overly optimistic. It's not to say like I'm not a happy person, but like you were
Yeah.
saying before, I'm pretty skeptical about a lot of things.
Yeah, but I'm kind of surprised that you didn't have a lot of 8. Because I feel like you
let me
kind of, it's like you don't like to be controlled. I feel like you kind of like to do your own thing.
Yeah, but that also comes down to the conflict thing, though. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. 8, sorry, 8 for the listeners. 8 is the challenger, taking charge because they don't want to be controlled.
Right.
You don't
Strong-willed,
own
decisive,
me.
practical. Exactly.
I do like to do my own thing. They also
Yeah.
have a hard time lowering defenses in intimate relationships.
That's ringing some bells.
Ah, shit.
Caught red-handed.
Yeah, intimacy involves emotional vulnerability, and such vulnerability is one of the 8's deepest fears. Yikes. Yeah, I only got a 2 on 8.
It showed
which is
you
weird.
that low.
You scored a 2?
On 8, yeah.
Yeah.
The lowest
It was my
score that
last
it shows
one.
me is
Mine didn't even
5.
show some of them.
It
That's a
showed.
type 6.
I got 6 types.
Well, I think that's how it works, Joseph. Is like
Mm.
the first few questions figure out like which ones are in you at all, and then once it figures that out, it only tests those ones. So Gabe probably marked for 8 somehow, but then he like didn't answer the questions for it. So it
I
was,
did have a lot of parts.
So he's a two-timing son of a bitch.
exactly.
There's no type 2 in me.
Oh.
I'm no giver.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, it's so stupid. Like the beginning where it's saying like everyone is a single type. It's like that's such a bullshit, you know.
Mm.
And they try to like play it off like, well, you might have parts of you in other types, and they're, you know, based on your mental health that'll change them. It's
Yeah,
like, I
'cause
don't
it's
know. I
like
feel like I can see myself in
horoscopes,
all of
where,
these
like-
a little bit, at least. You know, I
Yeah.
feel like they could be true for everyone.
I was just gonna say it's the same approach with horoscopes, where like they try and be as general as possible to get you to relate to it.
I was thinking about this earlier today because I remember seeing some like tweet or something like that on, I don't know, probably on like white people Twitter or something like that. And it was like the Myers-Briggs test is the corporate version of horoscopes.
Honestly.
And I mean like yeah, like to some
Not
extent.
wrong.
But then I was kind of thinking like what it's based on. Like these tests are based on, you know, answers that you give, and like sure, on like the back
It's how you
end,
perceive yourself.
You can yeah, and like you can sway those answers however you want to. But at
Mhm.
the end of the day, horoscopes are based on the stars. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I have a hard time believing literally anything about that. I think that there's some good deal of reflection, like self-reflection, that you can get from these tests, though.
If you're
Well,
honest.
that's interesting. You
If
say
you're
that 'cause,
honest,
like,
which is very, very hard for some people.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's some questions where like I came
Yeah.
up and I was like, well, I don't want to.
I don't remember if I've
Yes.
talked about it.
Yes.
I know I've talked about it with you guys.
If you're really gonna
before,
make me,
But I
Yeah.
had a job interview. Well, it would have been like in the last fall or spring, but they gave me a questionnaire, like a personality type questionnaire, and they gave it to me twice. And the first time it said answer how you feel about yourself, and the second time was answer how other people would answer about you. And I thought that was a really interesting approach to see, like, because it's the same exact questions, but like where you fit, you know, along one area and when like on one question or like one topic or whatever, and how like that'll change based on when you think about, okay, well, I like to think I'm a nice person, but you know, these friends always tell me I'm a dick, which is basically you guys, where I think I'm a pretty good guy, But my friends always see me kick cats, so you know.
That doesn't mean much coming from us.
Yeah, I just kick cats.
There it is again.
Well, before we took this test, there was like a little like warning or something where it's like, hey, like this goes a lot better if you're very like introspective, and if you think about yourself a lot. I mean, just talking about like
I try not to
Joseph,
think
that
about myself.
you don't
too
think
much.
you are very introspective all the time.
There's some dark shit in there. I try to avoid that place.
I think a lot of it helps.
I'd rather.
I think a lot of it helps for me because like going to therapy and whatnot has like made me think a lot more about myself. And I'm always thinking about myself. Like I'm trying to sleep, I'm just randomly thinking about how I act around people or how I handle different things. But, I don't know.
I feel like I'm super introspective, maybe even to a fault sometimes, where I just get way in my own head.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that some of my thoughts.
And that's why I live in the moment and don't think about anything of the past or anything about myself ever. Yeah, baby. Exactly.
No consequences.
Yeah, he has no regrets, everybody.
That's hurtful.
I could name 2 right now, but I'm not going to.
Yikes, Gabe. Keep it in your pants. Alright, so the moral of the story is don't let anybody put you in a box, alright? Because you won't fit.
And maybe you'll end up being like Jacob and getting chopped into 9 different pieces and thrown into each one of the boxes.
Well, that's what I find so interesting about these tests is people love putting people or things into boxes, and
people like being put in boxes because they want to like understand more about
community.
themselves, and they can like use this as an excuse.
And it's like the tribe mentality too. It's like
I'm a
like,
tour.
It's like like fuck the 2s, like we're gonna kill them all.
Exactly.
Yeah, people want to know more about themselves. That's why these are so popular, and that's why you see Facebook quizzes where it's like, which Friends character are you most like? It's like, oh no, I want to know. It's all that bullshit.
Okay,
or
but
they
let's
have
be
those
real
quizzes
here.
that are all easy questions, so they sound like, or they're like, I passed with 100%. I'm a genius.
If there were, let's just say hypothetically, the 9 different wings or whatever you want to call them, like the 9 different types of this. How do you pronounce it again? Enneagram?
Enneagram, I think.
9 bins. That's what I'm calling them.
The 9 bins. If you place the 9 bins against each other, and who, like, no alliances were formed or anything like that, let's be real, everyone would go after the group of 9s first because they're the peacemakers, so they wouldn't put up any fight. You just freaking wipe out one of the bins right away.
Like, well, I feel like 8. Are you doing like in a brawl? Because if we're in a brawl, 8s are gonna win. Because they're the challengers.
They talk about being physically strong too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're having physical energy.
Except it's not. If you think about it, wars are not all about physicality. If you look back at the Vietnam War, guerrilla warfare.
I mean, that's also how the Revolutionary War.
I feel like we're getting into the weeds on this analogy, Dayton.
Well, it's a hypothetical situation, Jacob. What the fuck do you expect?
This is
okay,
Dayton's
are we
thoughts,
just putting
right?
the 9 boxes next to each other like on a sidewalk? Or are we in Vietnam? Like, I don't understand what the setting is here.
I'm just saying, what if the 9 boxes, what if the 9 bins,
like the Hunger
bins,
Games.
not boxes, had to fight each other?
Like physically, like in a fist fight?
You're not like physically?
Like warfare.
I feel like
so
the helper would get its ass
I was
handed
just
to
thinking like
it.
a punch out.
Okay.
Yeah, they try to help people. Yeah.
No,
well,
see,
they would get
betrayed.
betrayed. They would get betrayed at the end.
Because the two would be like, hey, I'll help you. The 2 would be like the number 1 ally that you would want to have because they.
What about the loyalists though? I feel like the loyalists would be pretty good to have.
I don't remember hearing
They're not
that
tough
one, so
enough.
it doesn't
I'm telling
exist.
I think type 4s might win, the individualist, because they're gonna think like they're the best, right? Because they're very self-centered. So they're just gonna go off in their own corner and just like chill for a bit. Meanwhile, the 8s are just slaughtering everyone. All like the 8s are slaughtering the 9s and they're slaughtering the 2s and probably the 6s like immediately. The 7s, the enthusiasts, they're out just going on a canoeing. Like they don't give a shit about this war. They're out,
Maybe it's
I
one of
feel
their new hobbies or new adventures is to kill the rest of the groups.
So we're down to the challengers, the individualists, the achievers, and the reformers. I feel like the achievers care too much about winning, and that's going to be their downfall. So now we're down to
What we need to
reformers.
do is have like a fantasy bracket, and then we have to fill it out, and then we'll talk about it in the next
figure out who
episode.
I don't know. I think threes. Actually, I think ones or fours are going to win this fight.
Ones, dude.
Because ones can problem solve, but they're probably not bloodthirsty enough. I don't know. This is a weird hypothetical we went down.
But again,
you
is this
assume that I'm not bloodthirsty.
strategic warfare?
Have you
or
seen
is
these
this,
canines?
Brawling fist fight, you know? Like, are the types the generals?
I
When
think
is-
it could
when
be
is-
strategic.
I was
When is
thinking
any
like
kind of,
Anchorman 2, where like everybody's
And
in a
Brick
field
just
and they
has
all
a
show up
ray
and
gun?
just, like have assortments of weapons and
Brick had a
alien
hand grenade.
technology.
Is that the ghost of Stonewall Jackson?
Yeah.
Yeah, or is this like they're each a general in the war, you know, and it's a 9-faction warfare, where, you know, where it's like the philosophies fighting.
If I had,
Because you came up
if
with
I
this
had to
hypothetical,
answer
Dayton,
that,
so I feel like
I would say that it is.
okay, okay.
Yeah, I know that's why I'm answering this question that you posed to me. I would say it starts off as a brawl, except if someone's intelligent enough to try and change the nature of warfare, then
So
be
you
it.
gave not an
That's
answer.
just their type.
Interesting.
Correct.
Yeah, everybody in the comments of this next Instagram post, post what you think is gonna win.
If
And
you don't type into,
one,
I'm gonna help you see
come
the
after
light.
you.
And do his own type of warfare.
But for a price.
I feel like this is just going back to the whole 10,000 rats question, which I don't want to get into right now because we don't have enough time. But
Don't even bring that up.
That popped up on another podcast when I was driving, and I was
it
like,
popped up on
God
that kind
damn
of
it.
funny podcast.
That was the one I was listening to. I was like, God
Yeah.
damn it. I don't want to listen to another half an hour of this fucking question.
I wanted to listen to it to make sure they they saw the light and discovered that you cannot not take 10,000 rats because you cannot defend against them.
It's
You
the
have to have
easy
them on your
pick.
team.
Yeah. That's another
well,
discussion.
That's my discussion. Maybe we'll do that sometime. It's a fun one, even though we've done it ourselves.
Have
Like
not
to
we
death.
already discussed that?
We've beat that horse.
We have not on the
dead.
podcast. We've had it around a dinner table way too many goddamn
It was like an
times.
hour and a half.
I'm gonna be real with you guys. I don't know if I can discuss that anymore.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think we can do it.
Like-
But if you're
Yeah.
curious what we're talking about, go on Reddit or just go in your web browser and be like, "Animal fight 10,000 rats."
I don't
How
know
do
if
I
it's
find
that
this
prevalent
question?
of a question or a scenario.
The idea being that there's a
okay.
bunch of groups of animals. You got to pick two to defend against the rest. I don't know. It's pretty popular.
Someone with a
I mean, we can do a
extra
test right now.
mechanical
Hold
keyboard.
on, we got time to kill. We
I
got
just
5
Googled
minutes.
it. Okay,
I
it
like
shows
how
up
that's
on
the-
Vice if you Google
that's the factor.
animal
like
fight
that's
10,000
the
rats.
the one everyone knows. I understand
Well,
the
yeah, 'cause
degree
it's
of
just so
rats we
ridiculous.
have to deal with.
10,000 rats. It's a lot of rats.
Think about.
They start getting into orifices, and ooh, it's not gonna end well.
Oh my God.
That's a way to end it.
All right, well, that's the podcast for this week. It took some.
Ending with rats
takes-
going into orifices.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta end it somewhere, Dayton.
Man, you can make some sound bites of all of us, dude, if you have the time.
We went down some weird roads on this personality test, but I think we all can concur that it's fun to do these things, but they're not super accurate.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it's good to like be introspective and think about yourself, because it helps you kind of maybe become a better person or become
You
a
can work on things you know you're bad at.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's such a 6-wing-5 thing to say.
But just don't fall into the trap of somebody telling you, "Oh, you're a type 3, so you have to do all of these things this way," and this is exactly how you are. 'Cause obviously,
I don't know.
Bunch of
You're
bullshit.
outnumbered here,
Yeah.
Gabe. You better
Type
watch
Qs
what
are
the
all
fuck
friend
you're
wipers,
saying.
that's all I
It's
By a half a person, and that
yeah.
half
It's
a person
all
is
three of us
you.
got at least partially a type.
Yeah, no, none of
two.
us are gonna help you anymore, Gabe. If you keep throwing this shit around.
So you better
That's true. I
really
guess
be
I'm
And
careful.
giving it
Josh is a full type 2 diabetic, so I think that counts for something.
What
I
type do you
don't
think
know.
Josh
No,
is?
Josh is a type 1. He's a type 1. Type 2 is when you're
Honestly,
fat, I think,
Josh
Yeah,
is a type
Josh is a
1,
type 1
2
diabetic.
diabetic. If I'm being honest,
But what
the
type do
way
you think
he
Josh
eats.
is?
Love you, Josh.
Jesus
That is
Christ.
pretty true. He eats a lot of shit.
Dude, living with him, I can confirm.
First week of class.
It's been a bad week for all of us, though.
Yikes. Alright, well,
All
follow
right.
us on Instagram and Twitter at EWF Podcast.
I don't know. I didn't
We'll
think
post
the
more
poll
polls
was
up.
really fun. I
It's kinda fun
lost.
to do.
I don't want to do more
And,
polls.
Yeah, we'll see you next week.
Let's do more ones where I win. Bye.
We'll get him next time.
I had a good time.
We'll get him next time. Bye.
See ya.
Yeah.